Hey everybody, I'm Lex and welcome to Words of This Life.
I'm gonna run, and even if I fall, I know I'll be safe in my skin. Hey, hey, hey.
What's up everybody? If you've been here before, welcome back. And if this is your first time on my channel and you enjoyed this video, I would be so grateful if you would like and subscribe, and feel free to share it with anyone that you think would enjoy it or be helped by it. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I thought life after prison was going to be like. And there's actually two phases to this, because the first couple of years that I was in prison, I had not really changed much. I had changed locations. I was away from people, places, and things, but my heart had not changed much. And so for the first couple of years, I had full intentions on getting out of prison and going back to the same things that I had done before. And if you don't know any of my story, I'll put a link in the description for one of my previous videos about how I went to prison or drug addiction or something like that, so you can have some of the backstory. So the first couple of years, like I said, not much had changed, and I would daydream about going back out to the clubs that I was at before, about hanging out with my friends again, which the really funny part about that is that so few people stayed connected with me while I was in prison for 3 years. And oddly, it was people that I would have never expected to stay connected with me that did the best job. Whereas 95% of the rest of my friends and other people in my life just kind of fell off the planet for while I had fallen off the planet in prison, I guess. But somewhere inside of me still, I was just thinking, well, I'm going to get out and we're just going to resume everything like it was before. I had no intentions of doing anything differently. I wasn't scared about that. I was just thinking, can't wait to not be in prison anymore so that I can go back out and party. So that was the plan. And then my life changed drastically. I became a Christian in prison. It's the place that God chose to save me in the midst of my addiction and self-harm and all sorts of things. He saved me there. And so at that point, a lot of things just changed drastically, including my desires. So suddenly I no longer wanted to get out and party. Although, honestly, part of me did. There was this war between what I knew that I should do and what I wanted to do. And that is just the epitome of the war between the flesh and the spirit. I had been changed into this completely different person and wanted to live like I was a different person, but I had a lot of fears of what was going to happen when I got out, and I was faced with all of these temptations that I didn't have to be faced with in prison. So mostly, I wanted to get out and do the right thing. I wanted to continue following Jesus. And I had fears about whether I'd be able to do that or not, but that is what my heart changed to. I didn't want to go to the clubs and to go hang out with those old people and find myself in those same situations again. And so that really was my desire, but I battled with myself sometimes about it. And another thing that happened during this time in my last year in prison is that I started writing songs. And I actually have always kind of been a writer and written songs before and had written a lot of poetry. But before I became a Christian, it was a lot of dark stuff. And so I started writing these songs, and some of them were, blatant worship songs where you're singing to Jesus. And then other ones, in fact, most of them were like kind of rough around the edges Christian rock songs, where I was just talking about the struggles that I had and wrestling with my faith and God being good, but me being fearful, all sorts of just real struggle sort of things. So I shared those songs with people, usually like one-to-one, because I did not like singing in front of people. But on a couple of occasions, I did share more openly to a larger group of people, and people really became a fan of these songs. And so they started saying, you're gonna get out and you're gonna make an album and everybody's gonna love your music. And so I started to just daydream in my mind and in my heart that when I got out of prison, I was going to start recording music. I didn't have any of the steps of that. I just felt like, how cool would that be, And so while we were on the work squad, I would think in my head about writing songs and getting to tell my story along with the songs and that sort of thing. So I did a lot of daydreaming about that, and that was kind of the biggest thing that I thought life was going to look like, that I was going to get out and make music. And I also thought that in that dream for my future that I was going to marry a musician. I did not play any instruments when I went to prison, and so I always thought if I just marry someone who knows how to make the music in my head come to life, then we'll just be this dynamic duo. So I spent a lot of time in that last year thinking about that and how the Lord could use me to share my story and to share the music that I had been writing and all of that. So that didn't happen, but I still get to share music. It just looks nothing like I thought that it would. Meanwhile, I was terrified to sing in front of people, and there were a couple of times where I would sing in the chapel and I would have to go to the back of the room and sing to the backs of people's heads or ask people to close their eyes when I was singing facing them. You know, a lot of my history, the industry that I was in, so much of that was based on just being looked at, being watched, being stared at. And so I think that there was just a lot of trauma in there. And I still feel that, honestly. If I am speaking in a group or if I'm singing in front of people, which is rare these days, but if it happens, there's still this, oh my goodness, everybody is looking at me sort of thing. So I wasn't really ready to work through any of that at that time. I just know that I was terrified, like coming close to the point of having a panic attack or trying to open up my mouth and nothing coming out because there was just so much crippling fear. So I thought I wanted to get out and make music, but I was also battling just this really deep-seated fear of doing that. And so it was this thing that I wanted, but also this thing that I was terrified of. And really that's how I felt about getting out of prison in general. Like I said, I had a lot of fears of, am I going to be able to get out and remain a Christian? You know, you hear a lot about jailhouse religion, and I didn't want to be one of those people. I really wanted to continue walking with Jesus. And so, but here's another aspect of it. I was not the most emotionally stable, and I still have a lot of ups and downs. I've struggled with a lot of mental health things over the years. And so people around me were saying, if anybody goes back to their old lifestyle, it's going to be Alex. And that was hard to hear. At the same time, I understood why they would say that because I was so up and down. My expression of my faith before the Lord and before other people was like, where are you? Where are you? Why have you left me? Okay, you're good. I trust you. You know, it was like, I look back at it now and I think my life and the way that I talked about my relationship with God was like the Psalms. If you've never read the Psalms are a book of the Bible where it's just songs. David and other people wrote the Psalms, and often they are full of this, where are you? Why have you forsaken me? When will you rescue me? Why aren't you helping me? And then they end with, but still I'm going to trust you, and still I'm going to praise you, and I know that you're good, and I know that you're sovereign. And so I look back now and I'm like, I was really just wrestling, and I was in probably what was a good place for a new believer, instead of, you know, pretending, oh, I'm #blessed, you know, that kind of thing. Too blessed to be stressed. I was like, listen, I'm blessed, but I'm so stressed. I am so stressed about everything. I have so much fear and I have so much anxiety. And so to the people around me who, a lot of my Christian sisters at that time, they were new believers as well. And so we all kind of looked at that and thought, man, she's going to spiral. She's going to go downhill when she gets out. So I kind of had that fear looming over me all the time too. When I got out of prison, I did go to the women's home. I got involved in a church community. I did start going to school, and things just were so different than I would have imagined that they would be. I did not marry a musician, although I was close. I was close to marrying a musician. And I actually have a video that I did recently about things that I've done since I've been out of prison. So if you're curious what all of that looked like after I got out, I'll put a link for that in the description so that you can go and watch that and hear more about that. But today I just wanted to take a quick minute and talk about some of the things that I thought about while I was in prison. Early on, I wanted to get out out and do everything that I was still doing. And then later on, I wanted my life to reflect the change that had happened. But the daydreams that I would have about how I would talk to someone on an interview on a radio station when they asked me about a song that I wrote, it would have been really awesome to do that, but it just didn't happen. And that's okay, because life has been so fruitful and so beautiful in so many other ways, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Now, if someone came to me tomorrow and said, we want to pay for you to record an album, would I do it? Absolutely. 1,000% I would do it. But, you know, that's probably not going to happen, and that's okay too. And I've loved my life since I got out of prison so much, even amidst really difficult things and struggles at the women's home for 16 months, and then moving to another state and not knowing anybody, marriage issues that we've had, issues with our kids that we've walked through. Just walking with the Lord is a refining fire, and I've experienced a lot of that, but I can look back at all of it and say that it's far better than the dreams that I had for myself, and it's been far more beautiful and far more sanctifying than anything that I could have asked for or imagined. And so I'm very grateful that I have had the opportunities that I've had, and that my life has looked the way that it looked. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to get another one out this week. I have a couple of ideas, and if you have any ideas, please let me know. I have been making notes of all of the ones that have been recommended in the comments, and I will be working through those. And yeah, hope to see everyone again next time on Words of This Life.